Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking a truly cinematic journey to what is widely celebrated and, frankly, heavily feared as the most precipitous mountain in all of China. We're talking about Mount Hua. If you've ever dreamt of stepping right into a living, breathing martial arts epic where jagged stone peaks pierce the clouds and ancient history is quite literally carved into the cliff face, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's discover what it takes to conquer this legendary peak together. Now, I want you to picture this for a second. Imagine you're clinging to a sheer, vertical cliff face. The wind is just howling around you. There are absolutely zero guardrails, nothing. The only thing standing between you and a staggering plunge is a narrow wooden plank, roughly 40 centimeters wide, and a rusted iron chain that you are gripping with very sweaty hands. It's a completely terrifying prospect, right? But for thousands of thrill seekers, this is the ultimate bucket list challenge. 2,000. That is the number of meters dropping straight down beneath your feet when you step onto Mount Hua's infamous Chenkong Skywalk. To put that into perspective, that's a 2-kilometer drop right into an ocean of mist and stone. Literally, just thinking about that number is enough to make my heart race. It's the kind of intense height where your brain kind of struggles to even comprehend the massive scale of the landscape below you. As one of our sources so perfectly puts it, people on it shake in their souls. Shake in their souls. That visceral terror, mixed with an overwhelming sense of awe, is the defining Mount Hua experience. It's not just a physical challenge, it's a deeply psychological one. But, okay, before we get you trembling on a plank up in the sky, we need to talk about how you actually get to the mountain in the first place. Moving into Section 1, the journey from Xi'an. You might think reaching a remote, ancient, secret mountain would take days of rugged travel, but actually, it's shockingly accessible. Step 1. You start your journey in Xi'an, famous as the home of the terracotta warriors. Mount Hua is only about 120 kilometers away from there. You can drive it in about an hour, or honestly, even better, just catch the high-speed rail. Step 2. You'll arrive at Hua Shan North Station. And Step 3, you simply hop right on a free shuttle bus that takes you directly to the tourist center. Just like that, boom, you've left the bustling city and arrived at the foot of ancient legends. All right, on to Section 2, choosing your ascent path. Once you're at the base, it's decision time. Choosing your ascent path is absolutely crucial here, because Mount Hua isn't just one giant monolith with a single staircase. It has 5 distinct peaks, and the mountain offers completely different paths depending entirely on your physical ability, your schedule, and frankly, your courage. On one hand, you have the modern West Peak cable car. This thing is a marvel of engineering. The stations are literally chiseled into the cliff face. For about 140 RMB, you get a 20-minute ride soaring over 1,000-meter abysses, bursting right through the sea of clouds. It's breathtaking but very accessible, making it totally ideal for families or anyone short on time. But then on the other hand, you have the traditional Yukon courtyard route. This is the classic, grueling, 4-plus-hour hike, starting from the ancient Taoist courtyards at the base. It's a serious physical test that is deeply steeped in history. Let's dive a little deeper into that in Section 3, the ancient hiking route. For those of you who really want that true, authentic adventurer's journey, we have to look closer at the ancient hike. There is a famous ancient saying, "Since ancient times, only one road to Mount Hua." Before the modern cable cars and the newly carved bypasses came along, this singular, incredibly steep path was the only way up. It really underscores the absolute precipitousness of the historical route. The path was quite literally dictated by the jagged, unforgiving shape of the mountain itself. And man, let me tell you what that one road actually looks like. First up, you face the Qianqi building, or the 1,000-foot building. Imagine a 70-degree rock slope with over 370 nearly vertical steps carved right into it. The walls stand up right on either side, barely wide enough for 2 people, and you literally have to pull yourself up using heavy iron chains. Then you reach Kanglongling, the Dark Dragon Ridge. It gets its name because it looks like a dark dragon resting on the peaks. You are walking up a steep incline with a 500-meter drop on either side. It legitimately feels like walking on the edge of a thin blade. Legend even says the famous Tang Dynasty poet Han Yu was so completely terrified here that he broke down crying, wrote a farewell letter, and threw it off the cliff, begging to be rescued. Which brings us to Section 4, the world's deadliest walk. So, if you actually manage to survive the Dark Dragon Ridge, you eventually make your way toward the South Peak.
And this is where you find the absolute climax of the mountain. It is just staggering to think that this 180-meter skywalk wasn't built by modern engineers with helicopters and safety nets. No way. It was built 700 years ago by a Taoist priest named He Ji-zen. He spent 40 years of his life suspended on the side of a sheer cliff, manually chiseling holes into the stone, driving in stone pegs, and laying down wooden planks. The immense human willpower required to build this ancient path is hard to even wrap your head around. And today, you can rent a safety harness for about 30 RMB and walk that exact same path, pressing your body against the cold stone as you inch sideways over the abyss.
Now, if the skywalk somehow wasn't enough for you, Mount Hua offers a secondary terror known as Yaozi Fen Shen, or the kite turnover. This path leads down to a secluded chess pavilion, but to get there, the cliff face is completely inverted. It's convex at the top and concave at the bottom. You can't even see where you're stepping. You must face the rock wall, blindly search for small, chiseled stone nests with the tips of your toes, and literally flip your body around like a hawk in midair just to safely pass. It requires extreme physical balance and a really heavy dose of sheer grit.
Okay, let's take a breath and move to Section 5. Taoist temples and sunrises. Let's just take a collective emotional exhale here, because beyond the heart-pounding terror, Mount Hua is an absolutely sacred treasure trove. The danger is simply the price of admission to reach the divine. It's a key site for the Quanzhen Taoist sect, scattered with 72 semi-suspended caves and over 20 ancient temples. You'll pass through Jinzhouguan, the Golden Lock Pass, where thousands of golden locks glisten against a gorgeous backdrop of ancient pines and strange rock formations. If you time your visit right, particularly between December and June, you'll break through the atmosphere into the majestic sea of clouds, where the mountain peaks look like islands floating in a vast white ocean. And finally, the ultimate reward, spending the night on the mountain to witness the golden sunrise at the East Peak's Chaoyang Terrace, where the entire morning sky is just set ablaze in gold and orange.
Let's get practical with Section 6, funding your mountain adventure.
So you've faced the cliffs, you've seen this spectacular sunrise, and you've connected with centuries of ancient history. Let's break down the budget. What's incredible is how accessible this once-in-a-lifetime journey truly is. Based on a 2-day trip, where you hike up and take the cable car down, your mountain entrance tickets and the massive West Peak cable car will run you about 300 RMB. Getting a bed to sleep on the mountain so you can actually catch that East Peak sunrise is around 180 RMB. Shuttle buses at the base are 40 RMB. Harness rental for the terrifying plank walk in the sky, just 30 RMB. Add in about 100 for some local food, maybe some noodles and a local soda, and your grand total for a comprehensive 2-day budget is roughly 650 RMB. That is an incredibly reasonable price for the whole shebang, an adventure that will literally shake your soul and leave you with memories for a lifetime.
Which really leaves us with just one final question. You've seen the 2,000-meter drops, the rich Taoist history, the breathtaking sea of clouds, and the completely seamless route from Xi'an. So, do you have the courage to conquer Mount Hua? I highly encourage you to add this to your travel list if you are looking for an unparalleled adventure. Thanks for hanging out and exploring with me on this explainer. See you next time.